Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first round of the ARC MX-5 Championship Series. My name is Lateral G, and I'm joined here with...
My Savoy, how are you doing then today, Lateral?
I'm doing pretty good myself, and we should be up for an exciting championship with these MX-5 Roadster cars here from Blue Moon Speedway in the USA. A little bit close to home for me for once here. And as I mentioned, this should be an exciting race. We had some interesting regulations for this series. Like no racing tires. These are only the sport tires, so drivers are going to be struggling with the grip in these cars.
Yeah, I think to my knowledge, it's the first time that they are going to be racing on the sport tires. So it's interesting what the driver is going to react to, because obviously the difference between a racing tire and a sport tire is quite a lot. You know, you'd be facing a lot more oversteer, a lot more understeer on these sport tires compared to the racing tires. But we're at Blue Moon, so it should be an exciting race.
That it should be. And again, just to cover regulations for today, the tires, as we mentioned, are only sports tires, but you have access to the mediums, hards, and the softs. However, there is a bit of a catch there. You're only allowed one set of these soft tires. You cannot go onto it 2 times, can't go on 3 times. You're only allowed to use them once. So it's up to the driver to pick the right strategy for themselves here today. Tire wear is on 10 times. Fuel depletion is on 4 times with a 10-minute qualifying. Now, as we mentioned here from Blue Moon Speedway, a track we haven't raced on in a championship series so far yet in ARC.
No, and I think it's good to see that Blue Moon is finally getting some recognition, because this looks a fun little racetrack. Only 10 turns, 2.1 miles long, 3.4 kilometers, and as you can see on the screen, it's located in USA. We've obviously raced here before on the oval track with the NASCAR done right. So now they go down to the road courses with these lovely little nimble Mazda's MX-5. So the racing here should be thoroughly entertaining.
That it very well should be. We're just trying to wait for these stuck checks to get underway to make sure no one's going to be stuck on the start line before we get qualifying underway. Unfortunately, no hot lap guide, but we'll be doing it live here today just because I won't be here for some of these races, so it feels a bit weird to do these hot laps, if you were to say, if I'm not going to be here to broadcast them. So we're going to do it live today.
Yeah. Just doing some stock checks today, so that's why we'll still show you on that screen, but so far it's not worked so far. We got some usual racers that have participated in this championship, haven't we? We've got Chile, Nugatti, who impressed us last week. The Gatekeeper, I believe, is in it. Techno guy. So, you know, we've got some fast guys in this championship.
We've also got a new driver we haven't seen in any ARC series before, and DM Charles TT, who, quite interestingly, in his first ever championship here in ARC, qualified 4th overall. Looks to be only 2/10 off of Chile, who happened to be the fastest in the time trial.
Yeah, so yeah, that's good going there for the newbie.
As for the rest of the drivers, as we mentioned, Chile, Nugatti, Alex Rogers, Charles, we have Hideki in this championship as well. I'm not Beckham, he's back. Hopefully he won't miss the final round once again.
Oh, he will. Don't worry.
We were to
living up to tradition.
We were to have Law 226 in this race. However, his flight has been delayed and he will not be able to make it. We have Taven Stool here also. Jans, Findogask, the Stig also not be able to make it for today. Robocopy, Techno Guy, and Maddie. That would round out our full grid if we had all the drivers, but I believe we only have 12 drivers making it today. However, this is a shorter track with some slower cars, so it still should be some good on-track action. Still waiting for the stuck check just to get underway here, make sure no one's stuck. We had to remake the lobby after a few drivers had been stuck, so bear with us for a moment. So, Alec, I'm going to ask you, Savoy, from what we've seen in the few laps that we've seen in the warm-up, and how close some of those drivers are, especially looking at the TT, the only difference between 1st and 14th in the time trial was a second. So, who do you think might come out on the top? Because Chile and Nugatti both beat Alex Rogers in the time trial, which seems a bit weird. We have the unknown quantity in DM Charles. we have some guys we don't normally see up there racing with. Those guys like Taven Stale and Techno Guy and Robocopy. So
I was gonna say, looking at the practice there, I think the top four was like Rogers, Nugatti, and Chile, and DM Charles, and they were all, very close to one another. I would expect to see one of those four drivers to win the race. But as you said, though, I mean, anyone can win it. Even you said there, the guy who was in last place was only a second back, and I mean, a second isn't a lot. And we've seen last week too in the team versus, when it was like first to last was 1.7 seconds, and that wasn't a lot. So a second is it's definitely a lot. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, help us out! I forgot of a word. Close. That's the word. Yeah. So my brain just went dead then. So I think this should be a thoroughly entertaining race here.
Well, let's not forget some of the other drivers that happen to be in Tier B, because we have a 2-tier system here for this championship. We have Haggis. I'm trying to make sure I get this name right. Haggis.
I think he's a new driver, I think.
Yes, he is a new driver, qualified top of Tier B. Jake Dan Harry, who didn't make it into Tier A. That's a bit of a surprise.
That's a surprise, yeah.
We have Pred J, who's also new, 17th overall into Tier B. 3rd overall in Tier B, excuse me. Thunder Pig, who we've seen race with us before. This is Marv. Chris FO. Oh, excuse me, my Discord just reset here. Let me just wait for that to come back here. I have all the information here on Discord. Let's just make sure of it. Alright. Let me just turn this screen share back on here for my co-commentator.
So I thought something actually happened there. I was like, uh-oh, there's my disconnection.
No, we're back here. Then
we're back on. We're back.
Pull up these notices for everyone's positions. Here we go. So with Chris FO, also in Tier B, Squeakers. That's another new driver in the Tier B ERA. Contrail, Venom Snake, Ford Terminator, XM202, another new driver, Daryl, Defiant, Isuzu Brian. I believe he's a new driver. I haven't seen him race before. Flat Out, and then Pinkafon.
Yeah.
So overall, it's some pretty, like, a lot of new drivers, which is going to make Season 4 really exciting, because that's going to be coming up. So going to be see where they all land, and we're going to see some drivers drop back into Tier B. We're going to see probably guys like Nugatti, who was our Tier B champion in Season 3, most likely move up into Tier A. He's shown some serious improvement after Season 3.
Yeah. I'm just noticing too on the time trial results there that Matty only scraped in Tier A by 18,000th of a second. But there's also a reserve driver, FTA 1895, with a 119.181.
I believe that is a reserve driver for someone should drop out of the championship. He can then take their place.
Okay. He can take that place. Okay.
So I believe if someone were to drop out of Tier A, Haggins would move up into Tier A, and then FT would move up to take Haggins' spot in Tier B. I believe that is how this is working.
Surprised to see Defiant there, 4th last in Tier B. I mean, he was the GR3 Season 1 Tier B champion, and
yeah,
he's struggling back down there.
That he is. I mean, Chris FO, I also want to point out, he's shown some serious improvement. Again, his brother, Dan's our Season 1 champion. But he's finished on the podium all 3 seasons so far. So his brother's got the talent. If you want to compare them, I would argue it's Dan's is the Michael Schumacher to Chris's Ralph Schumacher.
Schumacher, yeah.
But Chris is.
I don't think Chris will like that.
He's shown some serious improvement here. So it's good to see that a lot of drivers improving. A lot of drivers want to prove themselves. As we're going to hopefully get this last stuck check underway. We had one driver stuck on that stuck check, and hopefully we can get qualifying started for you guys here soon. Excuse the delay. We're just trying to work with what we have here in the game. Now I'm going to throw it over to you, Savley. Do you have any experience driving these MX-5 cars?
I actually did. I did do a little practice with these cars a couple of days ago when I was last on. I think it was on a Thursday night, driving around Dragon Trails. It's actually quite a lovely car to drive. It's a very nimble car. It handles so well. I can put the traction control down to 0, which is very rare for me because when I was racing it, I always have it on 1, but this time I had it on 0. Such a fun car to drive. I tried it at different other tracks too, and again, the car just handles so well around here. I tried it around here too. It just handles so good, and yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for this season to start with these little nimble cars.
I have to agree with you here, and as we mentioned earlier on the broadcast, those sports tires not as grippy as the racing tires. So even though the car is super nimble, having a lot of those the lack of grip going to be a pretty interesting issue. You're going to see a lot of drivers going wide, some rear end sliding out, some understeer going into these turns, especially here on Blue Moon Speedway. For those of you that don't know, if you couldn't been able to tell by the beautiful video that's been made to us by Q there that you're seeing on screen right now, this is an infield circuit around an oval track. I say oval track, it's got 3 turns, but you understand what I mean. So there's going up and down banked corners. It's got the tight infield sections, a lot of carrying speed as much as we can. So it's going to be interesting, especially going into turn 1. There's that pretty heavy dip and a drop off that you see the suspension clip, and it's going to be quite easy to spin the car out in that turn. So
it's a big drop, isn't it? When you go in, because you're going into turn 1, it's banked, but then when you go into it, you go from banked to flat, and that can unsettle the car quite a lot.
Still waiting to make sure all of the drivers are not stuck. We still had the same driver still stuck, but it looks like the other driver that was stuck and managed to fix it, and he's on track now driving. So hopefully it's going to be good for him to go, and hopefully we should be good to go here momentarily to start qualifying.
Not quite sure if it is qualifying, but go along with it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a problem with someone's connection. They keep stuck in on the grid. That's why for this bit of a longer hold up as it is. It's not our fault. It's just Polyphony's fault.
We're doing things that we can. We're about to get qualifying started underway here now. We're setting the lobby up to reset all the settings. We're going to get underway here just momentarily.
Just got to wait until it gets to ×4 with the fuel depletion. And then that's when qualified should be underway. I'd imagine qualified is going to be very close. That, particularly Rogers, Chile, Nugatti. Qualified is now underway, and new driver DM Charles. So let's see how they will do in qualified as it is underway.
All right. So do you want to go on board with Alex Rogers as he's going to do his outlap here?
So Alex Rogers, I think it's DM Charles. That's actually
I want to go and leave him then.
Yeah, we'll leave with him. Oh, he's slowing down now.
There we go.
He's flashed his lights. Okay then. So this is turn 1. Turn 1. We wanted to call it Chili Socks, but I don't know if it's all right with that. This is turn 2, Fireball for Glenn Roberts. His nickname was Fireball. There's turn 3. Turn 4, the Intimidator fast right-hander. Obviously paid homage to Dale Earnhardt if you don't know your NASCAR, well, not me, because I know some of it. Turn 5, pass through the penalty bound, and then you have to brake just under the bridge for turn 6, the King's Hairpin. Obviously, Richard Petty, if you again know your NASCAR. Turn 7 and 8, approach, little sideways on the exit. Turn 7, don't hit the apex into turn 7, but it's turn 8, the Foxhole, which is homage to, who's it again?
That was a Cale Yarborough.
Cale Yarborough, and then turn 9, the Wonder Wolf. Little lift off the throttle, homage to, who was it again, Jeff Gordon?
Yes.
Yes, and then on to turn 10, the bank left-hander, and that is a lap around the Blue Moon Speedway.
Well, we're going to get it underway here now as he crosses the line to start his first flying lap, a full set of, I was going to say a full tank of
Softs.
fuel and softs on the car. Everyone should have softs on the car for this qualifying lap. So let's see what he can do. You can see the dip there into turn 1. He's sliding it way out wide, carrying a little bit too much speed. He's going to go way off the track there. So So that's going to be an aborted lap for him, but it looks like Finnogask almost following him off the line. Let's see what everyone else can do here. On board with Robocop now as he starts to follow Taven Staven. Let's see, hopefully maybe the draft might be able to help him here through the midfield section. Interesting to see, quite missing the apex there to the Intimidator though.
Obviously, the slipstream is going to help through, like, after turn 9, the bank left-hander, and then on the start of the straight, which is a long straight too, so that's really going to help if you're behind another car.
Yeah, you see just in front of the shot there, Techno Guy missing the apex for the King's Hairpin now through Foxhole. You see it looks like Robocop a little bit wide off the apex, not quite as tight as he could have been. So all the drivers still struggling trying to figure out just how much grip they get with those sport soft tires.
Passing through the Wonderwall, will be interesting to see if many drivers will clip some sparks on the exit of the Wonderwall. As DM Charles is going to complete his first lap on my screen, it says 1 minute 20.643. We have seen faster though than that.
That we have. Second across the line was Findo. Robocop manages to go third. You have Techno Guy falling down to 6th place now. Obviously, Chilean Guy taking provisional pole there. First and second for them.
Yeah, the teammates from last week's team versus team.
Excellent race for them there. Let's see if they can just hopefully achieve similar results here. We did see that spin from Chile in that team versus team race, and these cars do have a lack of grip, and we know he loves those planted cars, so hopefully we don't see another mistake like that from Chile again here today. And you can just see how much the importance of the line is through 3 and 4 there, the Intimidator, making sure you take as much of that curb is. You gain 3 kart lengths just from one corner there.
Yeah, and also from the Wonderwall too. That's nearly pretty much a flat out left-hander. You've got to also take a lot of care. But you've got to be careful that you don't go put all 4 wheels off the track, otherwise you will pick up a penalty, and then you have to burn it on the start-finish line, which will really hurt you. I'm just saying here because with Chile Rigatti and Alex Rogers, they raced here on Thursday, so obviously this could be advantage to them because they know the track, but obviously they were racing in a different car. So what would you say? As you can see, Chile's just pulling off into the pit lane now. As Charles goes second quickest.
Beto goes quickest.
It's just swapping and changing all the time here. Maddie's left the room for some reason, and I've completely forgot the question I was going to ask because I was too interested in looking at the results on the left side of the screen. But I'll come back to you in a minute.
So on board with their curb provisional pole sitter, Bugatti, as he goes through Firewheel now through turn 3, heading up into the Intimidator turn 4. You can see just how much of that curb you need to take to make sure you gain as much time as you can. The trick with these MX-5 cars is they're not very fast. So the trick to maintaining or getting that good lap time is being able to carry as much momentum as you can. Being able to use as little brakes as possible, making sure you're on the throttle as much as possible. So making sure you take that corner as tight as you can, make sure it's as straight of a line through it as you can, is going to give you thousands and hundreds. And when everyone is in the same car, that 1,000th or a few thousandths of a lap could be the difference between first, third, or fifth.
Just looking at DM Charles' time, he is purple after the second sector, so he might take provisional pole just here, but he did sweep the roll on the exit of the Wonderwall, and it did cost him. He goes down to second place because he did brush the ball on the exit of the Wonderwall. So now Taven Haven is now one in the second place.
So we're gonna say, I'm just looking at Nugatti here. I think he just managed to improve his lap time, and you can still see between Nugatti and Taven, it's 0.03 of a second. And again, it's only a 10-minute qualifying here, so it's 6 minutes into qualifying. We're gonna get maybe a few more laps here.
At least maybe 2, maybe 3 laps in for definite. I don't know if Matty's going to come back in. I haven't seen his name drop in because he can still be allowed to have his lap time in, as far as I know.
So I'm just going to go watch Beckham here as he's got the drafter Robocop in front of him. You can see the difference in line here through the King's
Charles has stopped. Charles has stopped through going into turn 7. That's what's he doing there? He's just giving me. Maybe he wants to try and get a slipstream. Maybe that's why he's slowed down for.
It's possible. I think he might have just aborted this lap and didn't want to hinder the cars in front of him going through Foxhole. So it's possible he just pulled off to the inside, stopped the car, but he hits that wall, so he's not going to get that draft along this long front straightaway.
No, he's not. He's going to fall probably into the hands of Findo Gasly, who's right behind him. Taven Stalin is going into the pit lane, as well as Bugatti and Beckham. So we've only got 3 minutes left to put in at least. We should put in another 2 laps. They've got an out lap, and then they can have 2 laps of fast laps going on.
Bugatti's still a provisional pole. We have Taven in second, DM Charles in third, Chile in fourth, Beckham fifth, Alex Rogers is making pit stop for another set of tires in sixth. But actually, that's a bit uncharacteristic from Alex Rogers being outside the top 5 in qualifying. Robocopy in 7th, Findo Gask in 8th, Techno Guy in 9th, Jans in 10th, and then Maddie, we did have a disconnect there, so he should be starting in 11th, with Hideki Sama not being able to start qualifying, which will be starting from the back of the grid in 12th.
Just seeing here, Nagati and Beckham are both slowing down here because they know this is pretty much going to be like Monza this year in 2019, isn't it, for the qualifying? They want a tow, they want a slipstream, and it looks like Techno Guy is going to be the one that's going to try and help Nagati and Beckham.
I'm on board with Jans right now. He's currently in 10th place. His fastest lap was a 1:21 compared to Nugatti's 1:19.7. But he's got the draft of Findo Gask in front of him. I don't know if he's necessarily faster on this lap. We'll see as he comes up to the line. He will improve up to 6th place, so a good lap from Jans.
Solid lap. Nice lap from Jans. I think the last time we saw Jans was... Did he do... I'm trying to think if he did that 3-hour... race at Spa. I think he did.
I think he was in the second lobby though.
Oh, was he in the second lobby?
I think he was.
Right, okay.
However, I might be thinking of Ymir. They both have teams to start with J. So as you see Findo Gask and Jans both going wide on the exit of the Intimidator there. That's not going to help their time here.
That's going to be an easy corner to make a mistake through the Intimidator. You know, it's a fast right-hander, but you know, it can be very unforgiving because there's a lot of grass on the outside. Well, not a lot of grass, but there's a barrier there too.
Now, one thing I'm not quite familiar on is because we do have the 2-tier system that we do have in our GR3 Championship Series, is if we will mix the lobbies up depending on what Tier B's times are. That I'm not quite sure on. I'm sure someone like Rono or Thomas in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong.
Just going to type something in because there's only 5 seconds left until qualifying is finished. So unfortunately, Techno Guy Nugatti and that will finish the lap.
So Charles did cross the line with 10 before 10 minutes, so he shouldn't be able to get this lap in.
Bugatti goes fastest though, 1:19.465. Beckham, I believe, does go second.
That he does.
Yeah, Beckham does go into second. What was that time? 1:19.669. So that puts Taven Laven down to third. DM Charles in fourth. Chile in fifth. Surprised to see Chile down there. Oh, in fact, he stopped. So Chile's pretty much gave up. So he'll be fifth, depending if anyone's improved further down.
Now, I believe I'm trying to get on board with Charles here because the message did come out after he crossed the line, but he did cross the line before the or after the 10-minute mark. So I'm not quite sure what the ruling is on that because he is purple right now. So because he did cross the line after the 10-minute mark was there, but it was before the message came out.
But he might lose that time because he doesn't have anyone ahead of him. But as we saw from Nugatti, he did have a lot of slipstream off Techno Guy, so he might not get pole position here.
Let's see what happens. It's going to be a quick lap. He doesn't improve.
He stays fourth. Stays fourth.
That will be qualifying over, so that's how we look at our timing sheet here. We have Nugatti in first with a 19.4, Beckham in second with a 19.6, Taven Steele in third with a 19.7, Charles in fourth with a 19.9, Chile in 5th with a 19.9, Jans with a 120.1, Findo in 7th with a 120.4, Techno in 8th with a 120.6, Robocopy 9th with a 120.6, Alex Rogers in last place.
No, he should be 6th.
6th with a 120.2. Yes, that would put him 7th. Excuse me, 7th.
Oh, 7th. Okay. 7th.
So excuse me with that. So, but looking at, we had Chris FO come into the chat here and give us the top 3 times for Tier B. It looked like Jake Dan Harry did qualify first to Tier B with a 120.5, which would put him 8th.
Yeah, which would put him 8th. I was just about to say then the 10 drivers that were in first to last place, just 1.1 second.
Yeah.
That's close, isn't it?
That is super close, and especially when you consider Matty, who's going to be starting at 11th because he started qualifying in Hideki Stama, starting from the back of the grid in 12th.
Well, that's if he comes back, because I haven't seen his name came back yet.
Well, he did come back. He is in the lobby.
Oh, was he in the lobby?
He did rejoin. He's there. He just entered the track now to get his name on the timing sheet there. But So if anyone in the chat knows, Thomas or Rono, if you guys happen to know, do we mix up the lobbies based on the Tier B and Tier A times? Is that how we're doing it for this championship? Please correct me if I am wrong. I'm going to jump over to the race starting soon screen here.
I'm just looking at the lobby here, and it says Matty has left the room, but I've not seen that he has joined back. So I don't know if he's called it quits. I don't know, or is he restarting his PS4? We don't know yet.
Let's see if any information has been happening here in the Discord chat. Let's see if we can get any information for you.
I tried it. Get out with that picture.
Don't see any information happening here. Oh. I do think Matty Matty did have to leave. He will not be able to make it back for the race.
Oh, okay then. So we are down to 11 races, depending if what you were saying earlier, if people from Tier 2 move up to...
I have it here in the chat that says we do not mix the lobby. So what we saw in Tier A is the same drivers we're getting. So we're only going to get 11 drivers on the grid with Hideki starting from last place.
Right. Okie dokie. Barred and hoping he doesn't get stuck on the grid.
Looks like we're going to be starting the race in roughly 2 minutes here.
2 minutes. 2 minutes here. I think, I don't know if you mentioned that it's going to be a 1 hour race as well.
It will be a 1 hour race.
Which will be also over the 4 out of the 5 races. And then the last race, which is at Laguna Seca, is that correct?
Let me just make sure here.
I think it is Laguna Seca.
It would.
Which that will be a 2 hour race, I believe.
I believe so. I know the last race is a double length race, 120 minutes compared to the 60 we normally run. Whether it's not or not at Laguna Seca, I'm not quite familiar. I don't have the tech sheet right in front of me here.
No.
Let's see if I open this here. Okay, so it's yes. Last round would be Laguna Seca. Round 2 would be at Brands Hatch. Round 3 is at Sardegna. And round 4 is at Lago. So 1 minute till race start. We got the notification there. We have 11 racers for today's race. No penalties or start time infringements. I don't believe.
Just looking at some of the tire options here. Some of them are opting to go for medium tires. I think I see Beckham, Chile... who else? Just looking through all the other drivers to see what they're doing. So, as far as I know, Beckham and Chile are the only 2 drivers that are going to start on the soft tyres. All the rest will be on mediums.
That'll be interesting. One thing we don't know is with this tire wear on these sports tires is how long these tires last.
I remember being on times 10 as well.
Yeah, we don't know the cliff that they start to fall off on, and it's going to be quite interesting as we're going to get our race started underway here. Beckham on pole, Bugatti on pole, Beckham in second, Taven in third, Charles in fourth, Chili in fifth, Jans in sixth, Alex Rogers seventh, Findo Gas eighth, Techno ninth, Robocopy 10th, and Hideki in 11th. Let's go on board with Bugatti as we're going to get this race started momentarily here. Engines revving as we are underway. On board with Bugatti as he heads.
Everyone's away, no one's stuck. That's good to see.
That is good to see. We can see Beckham trying to get up on the outside of Bugatti into turn 1. Taven's trying to hold off Chili behind him for that 4th place. It looks like everyone's going to try and maintain the similar positions. Let's see what happens towards the further back of the field. Looks like we see a couple cars going too wide here as they head towards the fireball corner. Chili. As we see
Charles gone wide.
Charles goes.
And Robocopy's had a huge off. Just kept it going.
Robocopy will fall back to 11th place, but Charles manages to hold position for that 6th place. But he's got Findo Gask all over his rear bumper there. Let's see what happens for Love. Looks like Chili's trying to make a move on Taven. Looks like he's going to get that done. Great move there from Chili for that 3rd spot.
Good start from Chili there. Started 5th, already up to 3rd place. So good start there from Chili.
Just looking at Hideki Sama, I believe as he lost a position, but he is only up to 8th at the start of the race. So a decent start from him. Just has Findo Gask in front of him, but back in the front of the field, Bugatti will be the one to lead the first lap here at Blue Moon Bay, ahead of Beckham, Chili, Taven, and Alex Rogers into 5th, so not a bad start from Alex Rogers.
Moving on to the start-finish line, and this will be Slipstream City as you go on board with Alex Rogers having probably the best seat in the house here. Look at the cars weaving left and right to try and break the toe, as Bugatti's lead is under pressure from Beckham, who goes onto the inside through turn 1. They're going to be side by side going into Roberts. Bugatti had running extremely wide with the back on the banky part of the track. Still side by side going into Fireball. That's never going to work. And Bugatti holds on to the lead. That's good defensive drive from Bugatti.
That it is, but now the top 3 are even closer than they have been before. And they're still, I was going to say it still looked like they were side by side, but Beckham looks to be going up the inside here. That's going to give him the outside for the King's Hairpin. That's going to be a hard move to mark.
Oh, and again, Bugatti heavily defending that lead, going through the King's Hairpin, leaning on Beckham now, and they're free wide off the corner. Look at Chili.
But Beckham will have the inside for the next corner here through Foxhole, and that should give him the position. Now Chili looks to go through with him, and Bugatti will go from 1st down to 3rd in the span of 3 corners.
Nearly goes side by side through the Wonder Wall. Bugatti nearly kisses the wall, but it's what I said before the race started. Beckham and Chili are both on the soft tyres, and Bugatti and the rest of them are behind are all on medium. So it's, quite expected the soft tyres will be quicker. But that's why Beckham and Chili are 1st and 2nd, because they are both on the soft tyres. But Bugatti is not finished yet. Here he goes. As you look at it, Taven, sorry there, 4th place. Here comes Bugatti, go to the inside. My goodness me, there's like 6 cars. You can throw a blanket between them.
Back behind him, the battle for 7th and 8th after this top 6 is now broken away. There's the battle for the 3-car battle for that 7th spot. As it looks like there's actually one driver, and it seems to be Robocop all the way down to 11th place and a distant 11th place. So some accident, possibly a spin that happened there we didn't quite catch. So excuse us for that. As it looks like we might be 3 wide for the lead. Not quite, but Beckham's still actually clear going for it early on in this race.
They're thinking it's the last lap of the race. There's 56 minutes of this to go. Look at Chili, he's up to the lead now.
That he is, but he is, as we mentioned, also on the soft tire. So this could be the strategy that Chili needs to take the lead as soon as he can and build that gap as everyone behind him struggles with the grip and try and maintain the gap.
I think Taven's also lost a couple of spots. He was 4th, he's now down to 6th. Charles and Rogers have both passed him. And I think Hideki Sama is actually, Hideki Sama and that lot are slowly catching up on this battle for the top place between 1st to 6th.
We'll the biggest gap right here is between 6th and 7th is 1.8, 1.9 on the straightaway. You can see the difference of not having that slipstream on the straightaway, not helping Hideki Sama in the slightest here, as Gas looks to maybe go up the inside, but not quite close enough to get the move done. So Hideki has to worry about Gas behind him instead of being able to close the gap to the cars in front. 1.9 seconds still the gap as they head through Fireball. Back at the front of the field, we still have what looks to be a 4-car battle now forming for the Riverside race.
See this side race that Chile got after the Intimidator, and that was well held, and here comes Beckham looking to the inside through turn 6 at the King's Head.
Late break from DM.
Inside.
He tags
Bugatti.
Bugatti.
Contact. Tags Bugatti.
And there goes Alex Rogers capitalizing.
Yeah, up to 4th now goes Alex, and he won 3rd place. They pretty much like double file through there, looking at replay. Yeah, he was committed to go on the inside, and then must have braked a bit late and got into Bugatti there.
That's what we meant about the drivers misjudging what these tires can do. They don't have the racing tires, so it's not only just the on-track ins, understeer and oversteer. It's also how long it takes you to brake.
You see a little gap developing now between Beckham and Bugatti. It's now up to 1.1 second, but saying that, Beckham's trying to go by Chile on the outside going into turn 1. That's going to allow Bugatti and Rogers and that to catch back up.
He did manage to get that move done. He managed to carry the speed down through turn 1 off the banking and to overtake Chile for the lead now. And Bugatti is good after that incident with Charles. Has to try and close that gap back to his front 2. As we go back on board with Gas now in front of Hideki Sama. Still a 2-second gap between them and Taven Strombolopoulos in 6th place.
Oh, Alex had a huge moment on the in the Intimidator corner, went extremely wide. He might lose that 4th place, no he doesn't, he holds on to it.
See just how close these cars get. You can even see the front wheels of Hideki Sama going in and out, trying to get the front end of that car to bite to get that apex as he looks up the inside through Foxhole. Looks to be a good move there side by side, but Gas will have the speed in the run out. It was a good try from Hideki Sama, but Gas holds on to that 7th place.
I'm still looking at the battle here for the first top 6 there. And basically all of the top 6 scrape the wall off the exit of the Wonder Wall.
Still the front 2 close neck and neck side by side across the start finish line, changing the lead every lap. Almost what we saw the DRE boys doing in the last team versus team race last week.
Yep. Side by side now through turns 1. They're going to go back onto the bank part of the track. It looks to me that Hideki Sama is actually closing up on Taven. It looks like, oh well, maybe not. Here comes Gas to the inside through Fireball.
Well, they haven't been really losing time, even though they've been trading places back and forth. They've been maintaining. It's up and down 3/10 here and there, basically. This is the biggest gap it's been so far, 2.3, 2.4.
Yeah. So they're not really losing a lot of time, aren't they?
And even James starting to catch them up for that battle for 7th place.
I think Techno Guy is really falling off the battle with Jans and Gas too.
Still at the lead, Chile and Beckham back and forth. Bugatti in 3rd, Alex Rogers in 4th, climbing up from his 7th place grid spot. Charles in 5th, Taven in 6th, Hideki in 7th, Gas and Jans in 9th, Techno Guy in 10th, and Robocopy in that distant 11th place. But he actually is closing the gap to Techno Guy in 10th place.
Just check the lap times there. Yeah, Techno Guy's just doing consistent 22s. Copy is doing 21. So yeah, Robocopy is catching Techno Guy in a hurry.
Things have started to settle down now a bit, as it looked like almost Bugatti almost touched the wall on the exit of turn 1 there, as Alex Rogers looks to sneak up his inside through Fireball.
Wow.
Looks like he managed to hold it, but he's going to go wide. He's going to the grass.
Hold on to it there, Alex.
Going to go defensive into the King's Hairpin. Looks to be almost 3 wide. Charles looking to go on the outside of Alex Taven. Trying to come up the inside, but I mean, Bugatti's going to go wide. He's going to compromise his exit speed, and there goes Alex Rogers. But Taven's going to, or excuse me, Bugatti has the inside for Foxhole.
Charles, he wants to go to the inside into the Wonder Wall. Little contact. Side by side through there. No, goes back into single file. This is good racing, this.
This is excellent racing. This is completely different from what we normally have in our GR3 Championship Series. Those cars are normally so planted, and it's usually about the tire strategy and how you follow the race, but this is all about how you drive the car and getting the most out of it, carrying that momentum. As we see Nugatti trying to drive Alex as close to that inside wall as he can to try and break that draft. It looks like Alex Rogers currently has the 3rd place, and he's going to take it into turn 1.
He basically, like, Nugatti was trying to hold on that 3rd place. He even went down to the wall where the pit lane was, and Alex managed to stick in Mazda in between the gap with the wall and Nugatti.
Great race from Alex Rogers so far, moving up 4 positions in the span of 10 minutes here from the start of the race. But now he's got a big gap in front of him between him, Beckham, and Chile.
Here comes the Nugatti. He's looking to the inside now, fakes it, goes to the outside into the King's Haven.
Sets up the dummy, and allows Rogers to be able to block off the inside like we saw him do in Tokyo. Yes, he does. Nugatti will not find a way by just yet.
We haven't mentioned about the delivery designs, because some of them look pretty nice, don't they?
That they do. A lot of these guys have put a lot of work into their liveries, especially up the front here. I have to admit, Chile's livery, we can get a good angle of it here. See, the camera will cooperate with us. That's a pretty solid one. Beckham, it's a bit more simple, but stands out. The solid red. Alex Rogers with the, I want to say the Mad Mike Widet Red Bull. You see Nugatti with the Mazda. Taven with his Chrome. DM Charles. I have to admit, DM has probably one of the nicer liveries in the field, in my opinion.
Yeah.
See Hideki with the Falcon tires livery behind them.
That's always a classic livery, that.
Jans, I have to admit, that's a pretty clean one as well. The one that Jans happens to be running. Even Techno Guy and Robocopy, they have also super nice liveries. It's just a shame we don't see them up in that battle for position right now, so we don't see those liveries all the time.
Yeah, I do like Robocopy's livery. It looks really nice.
It does. The matte color, the Psycho livery, it's very clean.
Yeah.
I just wish he was up in that battle so we get to see more of it.
I don't know why that happened to him. You said he made a mistake early on, though. I'll tell you something. Hideki Sama in 7th place is really catching up now to Taven's now, so we're going to have ourselves, possibly like a 24, 28 wheel disaster going on for 3rd place now.
That
Definitely
we are.
Is catching.
And one thing that Ronald Thomas, has pointed out in the chat that both the lead drivers of Chile and Beckham are the only ones currently on that one set of softs that they get. So they're trying to build their lead early on in the race, but when they make their pit stop, they go to a harder compound of tire, they're going to lose that time. So this is still essentially a race for the lead in the battle pack that we see in front of us here, in front of Hideki-san.
Yeah, Hideki's done actually quite well, starting dead last. He's already up to 7th place and possibly fighting for 3rd place here. The gap now between Beckham to Rogers is over nearly 6 seconds. So, if they're only using the soft tyres once, as you said, they're trying to establish a big lead so they don't get into like say Alex or Nugatti and that. But do you think it's the right call to go soft early on?
Contact between Taven and Charles.
Yeah, no, I just seen it there. I think it was just a bit of a massive love tap by the look of it.
See if I could just try and get the replay. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I get the replay here. So he goes in. I think he just misjudges his braking zone, or Charles brakes early. I'm not quite sure. He tries to dive to the inside, but we see Charles going way wide and Hideki-sama going right on through. So he can seize the position back. But that's still most likely going to be a 10-second penalty post-race for Taven.
I think he was trying to make a late judgment to go to the inside, try and juke Charles out by what it looked like, but he just totally misjudged the braking point going into King's Hairpin.
That he did, but now both of them lose out, and Hideki-sama puts himself into 5th place, which so far the biggest mover on track, and he's on the medium tire.
He's looking really good here. He might be on course here to break an ARC record here of most positions gained in one race. I think, to my knowledge, Chile and I think it's Jans that holds the record for most positions gained in one race, and that's 8. So Hideki has started 11th. He's up to 5th. He's gained 6 places. So, you know, if he finishes in 2nd place, then he is now the record holder for most positions gained. That's good going from Hideki.
That is, especially not starting from the back of the grid, not being able to set the time, being stuck several times. But now he's up in that 5th place on those medium tires. If he could switch those offset at some point, imagine how much more pace he's going to have.
Let's look at that. Let's see how far back he is. He's just over 10 seconds of Chile, which is quite doable, considering we've just passed 1/4 of this race. There's another 45 minutes to go. So, yeah, I wouldn't count out Hideki-sama. We did mention about the 4 drivers that were out in front, like Chile, Bugatti, Rogers, and Charles. I totally forgot about Hideki.
Currently 1.5 seconds to the car in front of him, so he's just outside of that slipstream. It looks like Charles looks to look up the inside through turn 1. Hideki will carry the momentum. Should hold on to the position, but no, they're side by side.
Down to 5, and that's a fast corner. They're going to lose a bit of time to Alex.
That they will, but now he's going to have the inside through the Intimidator. Charles looks to sneak it back up the inside, go for the crisscross. Side by side, Charles takes it back, so great pass there from Charles.
Nice pass. Yeah, he did the crisscross at the Intimidator, and yeah, made it stick solid pass.
Ooh, Charles was
squirrely.
Charles was squirrely there at the exit. And that allows Hideki-sama to sneak up the inside. Bit of contact. Hideki-sama known to get a little bit rough when he needs to. Takes back that 5th place, but now we've got Taven trying to take back that 6th place as well from Charles.
That's nothing. That was just door handle to door handle. That's nothing. That's touring car racing for you. There's a replay. So Charles had a good pass. It's a big slide off of the King's Hairpin, and then going into turn 7, Hideki just leans the door, says thank you, I want my position back, and then Taven's like, I want some of that.
Back up the front here, we see both Chile and Nugatti back up, still doing their own thing. We've got battle for 3rd and 4th between Nugatti and Alex Rogers. Seems to have steadied out, but they have a 2.8 second lead now ahead of Hideki-sama in this 4-car battle for 5th place currently between Hideki, Charles, Taven, and Findo.
Findo is now worked up today. Obviously, constant battling has allowed Bugatti and Alex to pull away. They have to work together if they want to catch up to them, though.
2.7 now the gap, so they've moved quite far in the slipstreams almost. I want to say a second. They lost roughly a second in the last lap.
About a second, yeah, definitely.
This currently is the closest battle on track, other than the battle for 3rd place between Alex Rogers and Nugatti. We don't expect too much action to happen with that battle in front of us unless a big mistake happens, but this is where most of the action on track is going to be currently happening.
Don't know when pit stops are going to be taking place. Looking at Chile's soft tyres, his front and rear right tyres are probably about like 80% used at the moment, so he's got like, he could possibly do like another 10 or so-ish laps and then maybe change to the different tyres. I mean, 14 laps into this race, and looking at those tyres, the soft tyres, they don't seem that much wear on them.
No, they don't. I believe all the drivers are going to be going for that one-stop strategy. Like, we know the fuel wear isn't that bad, so you're not pitting on fuel, you're definitely pitting on your tire life. So I feel that one stop halfway race distance or more if you're on the medium tires, trying to keep as much life as you can in those softs as long as you don't lose too much time.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the fuel wear for Chile. He's down at he's about halfway through the, but he's got about at least 35% left of fuel in his tank. So 14 laps. Do some calculations. He'll probably pit within another 6 laps or so, I think.
We'll put him at lap 20. Now, what's going to be interesting to me is to see where some of these medium tire drivers are going to start their pit stops. When you look at guys like Nugatti and Alex Rogers, you look at their current tire life. Excuse me here, make sure I'm looking at the right drivers. they could arguably go to a 75 or even 60% race distance and then make the switch to the soft tires, so that their new soft tires last a bit, or they're in their more prime of their life for the last 6 exits of the races. However, if you're someone like Hideki Sama, who had to battle his way through the rest of the pack, your tires are going to be significantly more worn than those guys in front of you. So you have to make the gamble of, do I want to wait until, because he goes very wide, but he manages to hold it.
Oh, and nearly comes up right in front of Findo Gas there. They had to take avoiding action. Findo did very well. That was very good evasive driving from Findo. I think Hideki may have got lamed by Charles going into Fireball.
He might have been, but he manages to hold it, but he drops back to that 7th place that he was in for most of the race here. But he's not quite out of it. Back to the point I was making is, if someone like Hideki Sama is battling like that throughout most of the race, it's up to him to make the gamble of, do I pit early and try to gain back that time that I lost battling through the pack, or do I sit and use the rest of my medium tires and try to really just claw back as much as I can in those last few laps with the softs. For him, it's a gamble at the front. If you're at the front of the field, as we see one driver already making his pit stop, that looks to be. Let's see if I can find them here.
Nugatti?
Actually, a few drivers: Findo Gas, Charles, and Nugatti making their pit stops.
Okay, that's quite early, possibly. Maybe some people will go to the soft tire option.
So it did look like Hideki was the only one in that group to actually stay out, because all these drivers, other than Nugatti, were in that battle for that 5th place. So let's see where they come out. See Techno Guy there, so he comes out behind Techno Guy in last, in their 10th place, excuse me. Findo Gas in 11th, and Nugatti came out in 8th place. So the gap.
Go on, we keep going.
I was just gonna say the gap between Nugatti and Chile right now is 30.8 seconds.
Yeah.
When he made the pit stop, the gap had to have been somewhere around 16 seconds.
12. I think it was about 12 seconds when behind Chile. So that's about roughly 18 seconds in the pit stop.
So I'm not quite sure if pitting this early for those set of another set of mediums actually.
Yeah, he's bought a fresh set of mediums. I'm just seeing. Yeah, Charles did the same. And Findo Gas is all, they did the same too. As Beckham, first of the soft tyres, is in the pits.
See what he can do. Here's the tires going on a bit of fuel. He actually used a lot of fuel to try and get those spots compared to the drivers we saw pit last lap. You got 15% to what we saw people like Nugatti have, like 26% and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I was looking at your screen as well, and I couldn't see the numbers well. And then I looked at my screen and seen that 15 was on. What's his name? I forget his name. Beckham. So I don't know what tires has Beckham got on.
Mediums. He went to mediums.
Okay, he's on the mediums. Okay, and look at Robocopy now, up to 5th.
But he hasn't pit. Yes, he has yet to make his pit stop.
Yet to make his pit stop, but he is still. He's making a good recovery out of this.
So currently your top 3, Chile in 1st, Alex Rogers in 2nd, Taven in 3rd, and Beckham in 4th. Beckham in 4th, but the top 3 have yet to make their pit stops. Robocopy in 5th, also yet to make a pit stop, same with Jans in 6th. Nugatti, the next highest driver on the field to make his pit stop, currently in 7th. Charles, Techno, Hideki, and Findo rounding out the rest of the grid, but they've also already made their pit stops.
I think Alex is coming into the pit lane now on lap 17. Indeed he does. 23% left of fuel, which is 8% more than Beckham. So maybe the gap between himself and Beckham will be a lot closer than what it would be.
I was just going to point out, you can see just how banged up the front of that car is.
And that's with all the battle with Nugatti and early on, wasn't it? Out he goes.
Fuel, 70% fuel left in his car. He's going to come out right behind Nugatti.
He does. May have lost a few.
Lost a bit of time there, but that's because Nugatti went for the undercut.
Yeah.
But I think they lost a bit of time to the drivers behind, because if you look at the time that Charles and Hideki-sama have to them now,
7 seconds.
2.4 between Alex and Charles when they were battling at the point. They were third and fourth place, or fourth and fifth place, excuse me, because there was a 2-car battle for third and fourth, and then there was a 4-car battle for fifth and eighth.
Look at Robocop, he's just past Beckham. Up into third place goes Robocop. But obviously he's out of pit sequence from Beckham. Also,
he's on the softs. He's on the softs.
Yeah.
Robocop is on the soft tire. He has yet to make his pit stop, so that's what his strategy is here.
I forgot that Robocop was also on the soft tires. Didn't notice that.
So Robocop is doing his best to try and make a recovery drive out of this, it seems. But it's interesting that he actually managed to pass. You could just see how much difference you have for the medium tires and the soft tires. Because you have Robocop, who's on a set of heavily worn soft tires, passing a driver on a new set of mediums.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Just looking at the lap times, I mean, I'll tell you what, Chili's lap times have been incredibly consistent. 120.4, 120.3, 120.1, 120.1, then 120.8, 120.5, 120.6, 120.7. That is seriously consistent from Chile.
What's interesting to me is in this pit stop, I was just watching James make a stop, and he took a 100% fuel load, so I think he's fueled to the end of this race.
He possibly might have been, yeah. Considering I've seen some of the others like Nugatti and Alex Rogers, they put in just less than about 75%, so they might be going for yet another stop, I think.
Now, one thing we also have to pay attention to is Chile yet to make his stop. He's still in the lead. He has a gap, and it seems to be increasing over Taven in second, who is still in the mediums. He's yet to make his stop. But Robocop is also in the softs, yet to make his stop. And Beckham's the first driver to make his stop and make the switch to the mediums from the softs. So you have to pay attention to the gap between Beckham and the leader here of Chile, and that does seem to be dropping, actually.
That's definitely dropping just a teensy bit, but 28 seconds. I think if Chile was to make his pit stop, he would still come out in the lead, albeit the gap would be a lot bigger than what it was to as before, because I think it was about 3 seconds or so when Beckham first made that pit stop, and now he should come out maybe. Although saying that, Chile would have to put in more fuel than what Beckham did, so maybe that gap will go be Chile will make definitely a longer pit stop at least. But I think Chile will still come out ahead.
And also, Beckham does have the draft of Robocop in front of him, who actually managing to maintain pace through a lot of these corners because he's got those soft tires on. So this, in the end, could favor Beckham if he can manage to gain that time back. But just to that midfield section alone, he's almost lost a second behind Robocop.
Yeah, isn't it? That was just when he would gain that time back, going through turn 9 at the Wonder Wall, and then on to the start finish line, and he kisses the wall on the exit. Just interesting to see if Robocop is flashing red, so he may come into the pit lane, and indeed he will. But Chile's still staying out. But he will be pitting in this lap by, sorry.
So let's see what Robocop's play is. He has to switch to either the mediums or the hards. I would expect the mediums. No, he's just going for fuel?
That's a brave strategy.
No tires going on that car.
That's a brave call.
That is a very brave call. Look at his outside right tires. You can see at the bottom of the screen there, 20-25% wear on that front right tire.
Yeah. I mean, he is. Yeah. I think he should have changed to the mediums, because look at his lap times. The last from laps 12 to 15, he was on the 20s, and then from 16 to lap 19, before he made the pit stop, he was in the 21s. So, he's going to be a little bit slower than what I think he'll be. Yeah, he should have changed to the medium tires, we think.
We're going to have to keep an eye on that gap, I would guess. But back at the front of the field, we expect Chile did not pit this lap.
No, it's not. Well, he's got to be pitted this time by, because he has got about 4% left of fuel in his tank. That's the first time I've seen a lap time in the 21s for Chile.
And at this point, looking at the gap between him and Taven's medium tires at this point, they're faster than what Chile's soft tires are. So now I would say we know the cliff of those soft tires at this point. It's around 22, 23 laps. And Robocop didn't switch.
I think that might have been a mistake on Robocop's part there.
I would have to agree with you, but we expect a pit stop this time by. So is it possibly a full fuel load? Is that what we're going for? If that's the case, you're going to look at the time between him and Beckham. It's roughly 30 seconds. So this is going to be the battle for a lead here because he's going to make a pit stop. I would expect him to take roughly, if not a full tank of fuel.
Full tank. He would have to go a full tank because he's nearly running on gas. He's nearly running on fumes.
Full tank,
so he's definitely coming in.
Tires. That's going to be a long pit stop. 1% fuel. He times it perfectly on fuel.
So this is just a one pit stop for Chile. Off goes the softs, then on puts mediums, fills it all the way to the top. I mean, surprise me if he goes to about, I don't know, what, 60 odd or 70.
So
I would imagine he'd go all the way up to 100.
Taven Stromboli stays out. Beckham's in third, so this is going to be the battle here. He's going to come up to the line. Where's Chile going to come out? Comes out now. He comes out in front, but he's going to be slow on the start-finish straight. The gap, 4 seconds. So it has worked out in favor of Chile.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and he's on the medium. So yeah, Chile's going for one pit stop. So I'm guessing Beckham. He's about 50% of fuel left. So I'm guessing Beckham is going to stop.
I think he is too because he went soft. He's on medium now.
And he can't go back to softs, can he? Because he's already used that.
The one stop might be the play here.
It definitely have to be, and if that's the case, then Chile's just done an absolute masterstroke.
Currently on track, Hideki has the fastest lap of the 19.9. Currently ahead of Alex Rogers. They're battle for 5th place happening. Just past halfway, 28 minutes remaining.
He actually did his fastest lap on that last lap that he did, so that's a good effort there from him. He's actually passed Alex too.
Okay, that's going to make his pit stop now. So, but he can go to the soft to the end of the race. This might actually end up in Taven's favor. He's going to do the full tank. I would expect the same as Chile. And he can go to the softs.
Yeah. But it's a case of how long is he going to be behind Chile, because it was only 3 seconds when Chile came out.
Long stop. He's going to come out roughly towards the back of the field here.
Yeah. Techno guy's also in, actually out of fuel. But he will also change the softs.
Let's see what he does. How much fuel did he put in? Just enough. 99% fuel. Just to make it comes out 9th, but the gap is 23 seconds.
And he'll catch Robocop because obviously Robocop stayed out on those same softs.
Beckham, as we said, looking at his fuel, probably going to have to do another stop. So,
as will Nagati, as will Hideki, as will Alex, as will Charles, as will Findelgast, and as do Robocop. So, yeah, definitely one-stop strategy is the way to go on this track.
We could see Taven take that second spot unless Chile makes a mistake, which we have seen him do in the past, but not usually when he's on his own.
We didn't see a lot of that in Season 3. He was definitely the most improved driver in Season 3. That's a fact right there. But yeah, Chile is just he's just a genius when it comes to tactics, isn't it? Not unless if he's had help from, like, if he's got help from say Ron or something like that. But yeah, Chile, he's gonna cruise depending if he doesn't make any mistakes.
See Alex Rogers and Hideki battling back into turn 1. Looks like Alex Rogers taking back that 4th place, but Hideki up on the inside. So these two are still battling back and forth. Not normally a battle this isn't a battle we've seen between two drivers before. I don't think we've ever seen Hideki and Alex battle back and forth.
No, I'm pretty sure Hideki did race in Group A. Race in the GR3s, I believe. I think it was only just the once. Here comes Rogers though.
Makes it worse.
He's got him. Yeah. Nice pass from Alex. That was when Alex was just dominating in the B2. So Hideki. Oh, and Hideki's coming back. It's turn 8. The Fox Zone.
A little bit of a contact. A little bit of a touch, but they get away with it.
And Hideki retakes that 4th place there. So. driver there from Hideki. He has gained 7 places now.
25 minutes left in the race. We have a couple battles battling on track now. Let's see if pit stops are out of the way. Beckham and Nugatti
Look at
battling back
Nugatti.
and forth.
Yeah, Nugatti's closed up a hell of a lot on Beckham.
The second place, Beckham and Nugatti into turn 1, and then we have a 3-car battle now with DM Charles joining the fight between Alex Rogers and Hideki. Alex taking the place back, but we're going to see Hideki go up the inside, going for the undercut, as Alex Rogers goes way wide, trying to carry as much speed as he can up the banking.
Side by side for Fireball and Hideki lead again on things.
Ooh, Alex goes wide though, and there goes DM.
Charles takes advantage. Oh, Charles' Christmas has just come early. He says, thank you, I'll take your 4th place.
So this is what happens here. Maybe a little bit of a touch. I think it must have been a bit of a touch, and Charles just goes right up the inside.
Yeah, there was definitely contact with Hideki and Alex there. But I'll tell you what, Alex will not be happy with Hideki's driving tactics.
Hideki is still on. That's Charles. Hideki is still on the medium tire. He has yet to go to the soft tire.
Just checking to see Taven here, still in 9th place. He's not really gaining a lot of time on Robocop. Robocop is still on those worn soft tires. The gap is slowly coming down, but I would expect the Taven to close that gap a lot more. Says he pitted on that.
Oh, Alex making a
right.
stop. Alex making his second stop now.
Yes, okay. And he hasn't changed to softs, hasn't he? So this will be this will change and put him on the softs now, isn't it?
So he's gonna come out. He's gonna see where he has to come out with where Taven is, because that's gonna be his battle on track. I would expect him to come out just in front because he's finishing his stop now.
I think he's gonna come out just ahead of Jans, I think.
Yes.
Taven is 8 seconds up the road. And he doesn't need to pit again, this Taven, so Alex is going to have to drive his next heart, drive his heart out for the next 23 minutes.
At the front, Chile alone, first place, the gap 4.7, but it does seem to be falling to Nugatti a little bit there.
Yeah, by the looks of it does. But Nugatti's got to be pitting quite soon, as well as Beckham. So, obviously that's not a cause for concern for Chile. He knows he's going to be doing 1 stop, whereas the others are going to be doing 2 stop.
And then there's actually now Charles and Hideki battling back and forth for that 4th place. Then we have Findo Gaskin alone 6th place. Taven in 8th behind Robocopy in 7th. It's going to be interesting to me after everyone makes their second stop where Taven is going to end up, because he's 22.4 to leader and slightly coming down actually, because Chile had to make the jump to the mediums now. So it all comes down to if Taven can really pump out those fast laps. His car's heavier, but he can make it to the end.
He is doing 1 minute and 20 still, which is roughly the same time as what Chile was doing on the soft, so it's going to be nip and tuck. However, though, looking at the clock and the gap, he's got to gain a second at least, like a second a minute on the clock. 22 seconds. There's 22 minutes left in this race. I don't know if it can happen, but I think Tavenstall, I think he'll finish probably on the podium here. Where, I don't know.
Chile still leading 4.5 is the gap. Nugatti in 2nd, Beckham in 3rd, Hideki in 4th, Charles right behind him in 5th. That's your top 5 currently. But we also have Nugatti, Beckham, Hideki, and Charles. Findo in Robocopy, I want to say. There we see Hideki making his pit stop now. Charles not going with it, but Hideki's making it now. 8% fuel in that car. He's going to jump to the soft tires.
I'm just looking again on Robocopy's 1 tires. He's still doing consistent 121s. That one he did a 121.1. So, it's still not as slowed down, but it's like roughly about a second slower than what Tavenstall's doing on those fresh softs.
Well, we have a prediction from Ronald Thomas here. He says Chile, Taven, and Alex.
Possibly, yeah. I'm just seeing what the gap is. He's not really closing up on Taven. It's up to 9 seconds now, so I don't know. But yeah, he might take a third place finish. Oh, Alex, I mean.
So looking at it, so Hideki and Findogas come out behind Alex Rogers and Jans. That promotes Taven to 6th. He's right on the back of Robocopy. So that's he's going to be right here in the top 5, 21.1 to the leader of Chile currently.
Let's also not forget Techno Guy, because he's also doing a one-stop strategy too. So Techno Guy's technically not out of this. You know, even though he's been battling like 9th, 10th, and 11th pretty much all races, we see Nugatti into the pit lane. He'll put on his soft tires. So, you know, it's not all over for Techno Guy, even though he is doing one stop. Look at the pit crew working furiously to put on those soft tires and now adding fuel.
See how much fuel he puts in. They're saying he's going to come up behind Taven, who's now into 4th. He managed to find his way by Robo.
Just passed him on the start-finish line.
Taven just outside the top 3 now. 19 minutes left. 20.6 seconds the gap to Chile.
Just seeing the lap times. He is still doing consistent 120s. He did his best lap though a couple of laps ago. 120.0. which is just over a tenth slower than Hideki Sama, who did that fast lap on the medium tires. So Taven style is really on. He's really getting going. He's closing up to Charles too.
And he is 6.5 seconds, 6.3 now, just through that one corner alone, back to 6.5. He's doing his best to try and close up to DM. Beckham in 2nd, but we also both have Beckham and Charles to make another pit stop. So, well, I believe this pit stop strategy favors Taven over Chile. I don't think Taven has the draft that he's going to need as Beckham makes his pit stop now.
No, I think Taven might be content to maybe stay in 2nd. However, though, Nugatti has gone out ahead of Alex Rogers and is pulling away. He's closing Robocop very quickly, so you never know. Nugatti might pass Taven style. With 18 minutes to go, and we know what Nugatti is like, so he can do that.
Let's see where Beckham comes out after he refuels his car.
Remember, he doesn't need to go on to the soft tyre. He's going to stay out on the mediums, which he does.
He comes out 6th, right in front of Alex Rogers.
Side by side, through turn 1.
Cold tires, but he's going to have the inside through Fireball. No, he's not. Alex Rogers takes that position. So the next driver in front of Taven is DM Charles, who, looking at his fuel, has to make a pit stop this time by.
Yeah, definitely. And he didn't change to the soft tyres as well, so he's going to come out on soft. He might come out just behind, probably the gap between Beckham to Jans. That's my prediction.
And actually, Robocopy in 4th place currently.
Yeah, but he's got to be pitting. He's flashing red on his fuel gauge. He's got like another lap or so left.
So let's see what Charles can do. Does he pit this time by? Yes, he does. And then we see Taven just in the back of the shot. But Chile's all the way halfway through turn 1. 17 and a half minutes left to go. It's going to be a tough one.
Taven is slowly catching Chile. I did say it was about 22 seconds. When it was about 22 minutes to go, it's now nearly coming down to 17 minutes. It's now 18 seconds. He needs to find that extra half a second somewhere, and then we could be on for like a grandstand finish here.
We could be. I mean, we know Chile isn't the best dealing with pressure, and if he sees that gap dropping consecutively lap over lap, he might make that mistake that he doesn't need to make. It has happened before.
It has happened, yeah, and we have seen it.
So it looks like, based on what we currently see, I would expect Nugatti to hold on to 3rd place as everyone else makes their pit stop. Nugatti's got a later car, slightly fresher tires than what Alex Rogers has in 4th, so I think he's fairly locked into that 3rd place. The race right now is whether or not Taven can close the gap to Chile.
Scrap going on. It is, I think that's for 9th place between Robocopy, he's just fresh off the pits, and then Fingal, Gasket, and Techno Guy.
He's got a new set of mediums on his car now, does RoboCopy.
Yeah, and I think Findo and Techno Guy are still on the softs.
Overall, I'd say it was a good recovery from RoboCopy. We saw him back almost 13 seconds at the start of the race after I would expect some kind of incident we didn't quite see. And now he's up on the 9th on a fresh, like, in an advantageous position on track, as long as he can close the gap to Charles in front of him.
Gap between him and Charles. Oh, yeah. I just saw Findo up into 9th place, and then he went back to 10th. Okay, it sort of fixed itself.
Just saw the blue flag wave, and I thought I was a bit weird. I don't think anyone's lapped here.
No one's lapped. The last guy is going into Fireball, whereas Chili is going through turn 10. Side by side, going into turn 3, and then it's the Intimidator. It's a fast corner. You lose time here.
So side by side, but RoboCopy holds out in front.
And here comes Techno Guy. In he comes. He'll probably get 2 places in 1.
He's looking for it deep into the inside of the King's Hairpin, underneath the bridge. It looks like he got it.
Nice pass, Techno Guy. You haven't seen a lot of Techno Guy today, but you know that's a solid double pass now.
Back at the front, the gap between Chili and Taven, 16.7. And he's coming down. I don't think he's coming down just enough.
It's not coming down fast enough, no.
Unless Chili makes a mistake, which when he's on his own isn't common, but not impossible. He's got no lap traffic in front of him, he's got no draft helping, but now they're just Taven. And we see Nugatti in that 3rd spot. But it looks like he's trying to. Ooh, this goes a little bit wide. Maintains on the throttle. 4 seconds between him and Taven, and Alex Rogers are now in a more distant 4th place. He's actually gapped Beckham quite a bit. Jan's in 6th, as we see him getting a little bit sideways through the Intimidator. Hideki in 7th. Still in a battle between him and Charles. 7th and 8th. Techno Guy in and now 9th. That beautiful pass we saw. Finno in 11th, and RoboCopy back into 11th. 13.
Looks like Techno Guy's pulling away. Looks like Techno Guy's pulling away from that battle for 10th.
It does look like it, yeah. He's got a bit of a half-second lead here as they go into the King's Hairpin. As Findo Guy looks up the inside. Bit of contact.
Oh,
I think there was a bit of contact there.
That was a late lunge. That was a late lunge on Findo Guy. It was a replay. Let's see.
Let's see just how
It's
far
come from
back
way
he
out.
is. Yeah, that was from way back. Oh, Techno Guy actually took a void of action. He saw him coming.
Yeah, sure. That's a lot of respect there from Techno Guy. Just see the guy coming.
Ooh, Findo Guy touches the wall.
Oh,
RoboCopy spins.
Oh, look at him spins. Oh, that's not RoboCopy's fault then. That was just avoiding action, and then, you know, he was the victim of circumstances there.
So Findo tries to make the outside work through Wonderwall, which and he hits the wall, and then RoboCopy hits him, and into the inside wall goes RoboCopy. That's just a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there for RoboCopy, and he's picked up some front end damage there, and that was his battle. Potentially, he could have had a 9th place there, but it's all gone. So he's got to do yet another recovery drive yet again, but it's going to be tougher now with Findo and Techno on the softs and him on the mediums.
There could be some changes in position here as Hideki Sama and Charles are still battling for that 7th spot, but right in front of them they have Jans in 6th.
We haven't talked a lot about Jans in this race. He's been slowly, methodically working his way up on the soft tyres. Looking at his fuel gauge though, he may need to pin again. There's 12 minutes left to go. He's got less than 25%.
What's interesting to me is both the drivers behind Jans are also on the soft tire, and I think they're just ever so slightly closing. 2.8 seconds now the gap, and they have the draft of each other on the front straightaway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll be catching Jans. But I think, to my knowledge, Jans is coming in. Jans is in the pits.
So a bit of a fuel miscalculation there. Does he need to take another set versus tires? No, he doesn't. But it looks like they're taking tires off anyways. I think that's a mistake from Jans. I think he just needed fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, definitely. I think he would have lost a bit more time. But he's on the medium tyres, so we'll see what he'll do with them. He comes out just behind the battle between Finnegas and Techno Guy.
Look at the front. Chili leading 14.1 2.1 seconds, 11 minutes left over Taven. Nugatti just outside, or just inside that now it's just outside that 3-second gap. Alex Rogers in 4th, Beckham in 5th, and then Charles and Hideki battling back and forth. Looks like DM finally managed to get his way by Hideki through the King's Hairpin.
Nugatti has picked up the fastest lap, the last lap, 1:19.771. He is slowly catching up on Taven's though. His lap times have been a 1:20 dead, 1:19.9, 1:19.9, and a 1:19.7. So we could may see ourselves a battle for second place in these last 10 laps.
36 laps in so far. See Hideki Sama out just trying to get the draft to Charles. What's interesting to me is that whether or not Charles is actually closing up to, Beckham, because Beckham's on the medium tires now.
Yes, and there he is, yeah.
So we could see a difference here for 5th place in the ending stages of this race. This could be the end of the Game Trophy Cup at Brands Hatch all over again.
Oh, when Charles runs right through turn 1, that's going to allow Hideki to pass him in the fireball, and indeed he does. Up to 6th place goes Hideki. 4.4 then, wow. Look at Charles, he's wanting it back. Outside of the Intimidator, that is great. That is some pass from Charles there. That is grit and determination right now.
He made that work. It just through turn 3 set it up and then held it to the outside. That was an excellent move. That's not normally a corner you'd think you could pass on the outside of.
Oh, and Hideki being very aggressive. They're giving Charles no room whatsoever. But
Charles side by side.
This is some great racing there. This time Hideki. Oh, and again the lead. Forehand yet again. Be a minute. Grab the popcorn, people! Contact again!
Getting the fisticuffs out here. They're not afraid to barge doors with each other. Back at the front, 12.7 to Taven. Taven, 1.9 to Nugatti. 1.6, 1.5.
I was just about to say. Charles waving left and right on the start-finish line, and Hideki trying to try and break the two off him too. I was just about to say before you cut off there, I'll tell you what, if you want to try and get by Hideki, you've got to earn that spot. Definitely. Anyway, the battle for second, this is starting to heat up a little bit here, Lando.
8 minutes to go. The gap 1.3, about 12.2 to the leader of Chile. It's getting close. Nugatti will have the draft. Both are on the soft tires. No, actually, Taven's on the mediums, excuse me. Oh, is he? Am I wrong? No, he's on the soft. Nugatti's on the softs as well. But Nugatti's on slightly newer softs, but he touches the wall. That's going to cost him a bit of time.
That was a big hit against the wall. I'm still watching this battle between Hideki and Charles, and they're still side by side. They've been like this the whole entire lap. Half a second now, Nugatti. He's just posted the fastest lap of the race. He is a man on a mission. He's all over the back of Taven's Stallion. I couldn't think of a word there.
But he's looking at the inside here. He's going to look at the inside through Fireball. Halfway alongside, just barely breaks later, goes in, and Nugatti into 2nd place.
Wow. Nugatti is absolutely flying. He's definitely found something on those soft tires, isn't he?
That he has. What's interesting to me is we know he's been pushing out those laps, but I think that 12.5 must just be too far for Chile.
Big. It's too far, definitely.
Didn't mean to press that button, excuse me. Back to the battle for 6th and 7th. We see Beckham just in the shot there. They're still battling back and forth, so they can't quite catch Beckham.
Oh, them two having an absolutely titanic battle between each other. I mean, it's great to watch. And now is Hideki trying to go for the crisscross going into turn 7 and 8. Looks like he wants to. Let's go for the crisscross for turn 8 and 4. No. Things better over.
Charles has learned. He's figured him out at this point. He knows he's going to try and stick his nose in through there and covers it off. Now as they go through under the wall, up the wall, trying to get the side draft. Neither of them touch it. Again, Beckham 4.4 in front of them for the 5th place.
I think that 5th place for Beckham will be safe depending if them two don't slip each other.
Have to agree with you here. We see the draft of that. You see the draft working, allowing Hideki to close right up. He's going to look up to the inside again.
Into turn 1. Look how wide Charles getting to turn 1. There's more. I'll tell you what. Well, at least the directors are going to have a field day with these two.
Looks like Hideki gets the better of it this time by looking farther up at the field. We still see Nugatti and Taven still going bumper to bumper. 11 seconds to Chile, 5.5 minutes remaining. Alex Rogers in a lonely 4th, Beckham in a lonely 5th. But he can see the 2 cars of Hideki and Charles battling behind him. Looking farther back in the field, Bruno Gas is broken away in that 8th spot. Techno Guy's still trying to hold off Jans for that 9th spot. And then Robocopy in a now distant 11th.
Just about now with 5 minutes left to go. Hideki brushes the wall. Charles took a better line, didn't hit the wall. And see a pass again for like the 154th time between these two going into turn 1. Side by side across the start-finish line. Looks like just to me that Charles has got better speed off the corner because Hideki brushed the ball off Wonderwall.
To the inside, Hideki's going to try and carry speed around the outside. Not quite good enough to do it, but he's going to look for the undercut. Takes the early apex, goes for the undercut. He's going to get it.
Charles ran so wide on the exit of turn 1. It's like he's thinking brushing the wall.
Well, I think that's the NASCAR ideology of you want to use the wall and try and break the side draft on the car. He's going to go with the inside and Hideki cover. No, he won't. Charles goes for it. Hideki sees it coming. A little bit of a touch.
Oh, he's leading again.
Get on the throttle, pushing the car out wide, but Hideki's got the inside still. Ooh, a bit of a touch yet again.
I tell you what, this is like watching British touring cars. This is fantastic to watch. I hope they don't get a penalty for this. I think they probably will, but I mean, it's great to watch. They are not giving up for 6th place. Just imagine if this was a battle for the lead. Oh my goodness.
Side by side, Hideki on the left, Charles on the right. 3.5 minutes remaining. Charles has the advantage right now going towards turn 1. Hideki needs to go back into the draft. We're going to see the 2 differing lines again. Will Charles take a tighter line, try to cover off the undercut? He will. Hideki-san will not find his way by this time.
See the fight in the understeer with Hideki at turn 1. So he's going to stay tucked in behind Charles.
Back in the battle for second. Still Nugatti and Taven. Still nose to tail. 3 minutes remaining. Nugatti with a slight advantage though.
What's the gap now between 1st and 2nd? What's it now?
8.7.
I tell you what, that's some drive there for the guy to be, what, 13 odd seconds behind? Or no, that was definitely more than that, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like 20 odd. Oh, Nugatti's coming in!
Did Nugatti make his calculation on fuel? He did!
He must have. Yes, he did. Oh, no.
It's a 4-stop strategy for Nugatti.
He shouldn't change tyres. No, he's not.
It's just a splash and dash.
Oh, so he might come out just ahead of Alex Rogers, just coming on
side by side.
Oh,
that 3rd place was gifted to Alex Rogers by Nugatti. A mistake from the man.
It's all over the back of Alex. It's all over the back of Alex, though. So you know the battle for the bottom step of the podium is on offer here.
It very much is. So Taven now in a very solid 2nd place, barring any other mechanical issues or disconnects. We'll hold on to that 2nd place. Chile should still get the win. Alex Rogers, now it's a battle for the final spot on the podium. They're nose to tail. You guys trying to find a way by, but we know how tight Alex Rogers will hold his line when he gets for podium position. Minute and a half remaining. They're going to get another lap here.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So Nugatti's going to have one more chance if he can get a 3rd place finish out of this. I bet he'll be absolutely fuming that he miscalculated the fuel. Look at him. Look at the run he's got.
Ooh, he's over the back of him. Alex Rogers goes to the inside to try and cover. He's going to run him to the wall yet again. Well, Alex Rogers did to Nugatti what Nugatti did to Alex Rogers earlier on in his race.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Lado.
Side by side, a little bit of late braking. Nugatti has the inside, gets by a little bit of a touch, but fairly clean. Alex Rogers going to look to the inside through Fireball, but not quite close enough to get it done.
Might be saving himself for the run off of Wonderwall to try and get that spot back. He'll be a little bit content just to stay behind him. He might be the overtake at the King's Hairpin. You never know. 30 seconds left to go in this race. Here we go. Will Alex make a move at the King's Hairpin? No, he's going to stick him behind. So he's got one more chance to do it, and that's after the Wonderwall and then turn 10, and then try and get at least a run on Nugatti to get a podium finish.
See what he can do. This will be their final lap.
Chili's just coming across the start-finish line to take the win. There he is, coming across the start-finish. Oh, he might have to do one more lap. No, he won't. My apologies.
It will finish.
Flashes. It will finish right when he crosses the line. So Chili gets the first win. Taven Star will get second, but who wants third?
That's what it's going to be. Looks like it'll be a new guy. New guy's got the advantage. Alex Rogers isn't quite close enough for the draft, but he's pulling now. It's going to be a drag race to the finish yet again for Alex Rogers, but not quite. Nugatti will take third. Beckham will come across the line in fifth, and Hideki will get the better of Charles in the end for sixth place. Finn Nugas is going to be finishing across the line in eighth place. It looks like the Techno guy finishes ahead of Jans for that ninth spot. And then Robocopy will round out the rest of the grid in 11th.
Here goes Techno guy coming across turn 10 for the last time. 44 laps they've done. Sorry, 45. So a good effort all round for these drivers. Techno guy will finish 9th. Jans will get 10th. And Robocopy, who had 2 moments, and he will finish in last place. Nearly running out of fuel too.
Just perfectly. So there's your finishing order with Chili. Just over an hour and 2 minutes. No, hour and 2 seconds, excuse me. There you see Chili with his one-stop strategy coming out ahead. Make sure we get the race results here. So there we have Chili, the winner of today's race, with Taven Stale in second, Nugatti in third by just barely, Alex Rogers in fourth, Beckham in fifth, Hideki in sixth, Charles in seventh, Findo in eighth, Techno Guy 9th, Jans 10th, and Robocopy in 11th. Again, those are unofficial results. All penalties and post-race incidents will be calculated after the race. But I have to admit, I was one pretty good race. A great start to the MX-5 Championship Series.
Yeah, I think the other 4 races have got a lot to live up for, which I don't think it should be a problem. I forgot what the next track is. Is it Brands Hatch?
Yes, I believe it is.
So Brands Hatch next week, which unfortunately you ain't going to be there, aren't you? You're not going to be here for 2 weeks.
Unfortunately not. So you'll be here alone.
I'll be all alone. Oh,
you're good at it alone. You can do it alone. You're just fine without me. But
no, that was a very fun race. I enjoyed that.
It is very fun, and hopefully we see some more close racing coming up in the next rounds, like we saw at Brands Hatch. But ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude our broadcast for today. Thank you all for joining us here at ARC. And as we mentioned, next week there's Brands Hatch, so if you want to see more racing, feel free to show up for that. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. My name has been Lateral G.
I'll be my Savoy too.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and remember to keep racing.